Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Digital Dilemmas. Today, we are going to talk about something that has finally given John Murphy pause when it comes to artificial intelligence. So I think on this podcast, we've both been pretty positive about AI and what it means and its what it means to be used as a tool and all that kind of stuff. But John, you wanted to talk about some stuff that's on the AI horizon that is giving you pause.
Digital Dilemmas is a Link Media original podcast. I really did. Like you said, I've been in emerging tech since the 80s. God, that's a long time. But nothing really scares me per se, as you know. I'm a big proponent of emerging tech, and then I am a big proponent of humans trying to catch up and be better humans. But this topic, and we're going to talk about today, it's called, you may not have heard of it, you may have heard of it. It's called Agentic AI. That's Agentic AI. That that next level, the next generation of AI. And for some context, it's already being used, not in the way that scares me as much as the what's going to come out probably within a year. So we're going to be talking about this a lot whenever the powers that be release it. But this is the one that gives me pause, and we're going to talk about why. So, what is agentic AI? And the agentic AI that concerns me is what I would refer to as your personal assistant is now an AI. So, Amber, let's say that you're really good um, at booking flights. You're really good at renting cars, finding places for us to go to dinner. You know how you're really good? You're good on Amazon.com. If I say we need this, you find it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in a sense, let's say you play the role of the personal assistant in this house.
Got that right.
Great. Okay. All those things you do. So, put put that as the backdrop. We And then we also have other personal assistants. We have we just had the cleaning lady here, right? And they clean the house for us every couple of weeks. And we don't have to do that. So they're a personal assistant in that way. Now, that doesn't bother us so much, or for some people, like, oh, I don't, that's fine. I'm going to outsource the stuff I don't want to do. Now, when we get to the agentic AI and the things that you do, Amber, where you're an expert on using Google search, you're an expert on Amazon, you're an expert on flights, banking, whatever it might be. Imagine that is now an AI and you don't have to do that anymore. So we have hired an AI agent, personal assistant that gets to
Okay, so
know
we're
us.
paying.
What?
We're paying for this
Yeah,
service.
well, that hasn't been determined yet, but let's say that,
Okay, but theoretically, we're paying for this service,
well, we're either paying money or we're paying in
or we're
some other
paying
way.
with our data. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, story
And
of the
let me
internet.
walk through, if I walk
Story
through
of the
how it's
internet.
structured,
But hold on, I want to first walk through what it's doing
okay.
because I just want to be really clear. This is like we're getting into, tricky stuff here, and I just want to be explain it to me like I'm five. So I would go instead of going and typing into Google or going onto Expedia to plan a trip or going online to find a product that you need, that you are interested in, or that the kids are interested in. Um, I would just ask this AI, just type it into an AI,
Let's say you use verbal commands, but you could, let's
verbal
just,
commands. Okay, like Alexa,
or,
Alexa,
yeah, go ahead, say it, play it out.
Alexa, um, find me, whatever, a pair of white professional sneakers slip on for my husband.
Right. So here's the issue. The agentic AI is being built by a company, probably one of the oligarchs, probably one of the AI companies that are operating now that we know of, right? So now you have the agentic AI personal assistant is now built by a company that
By Google or by Amazon or
okay,
by
okay,
whatever.
right.
I get it.
Now instead of you knowing how to search or do something, you lose that skill.
Well, I lose that skill.
Okay, so this is I'm gonna walk through some phases that are
Okay.
concerning. So you lose that skill, and you say, you know what, it's okay. I don't have the skill of how to clean the house anymore. I don't have the skill of doing some other things. Now I don't even know how to use a browser.
Okay.
Now here's the next piece. The agentic AI is no longer having to use browsers or search engines as we know them today. Now, the the internet um, products, let's use Amazon.com as an example or Expedia. They
Okay.
no longer we would live in a world where they no longer have a UI built for you and
For a
me.
person.
Maybe it's all back end. We don't even see it anymore because we're not on there doing anything anymore. So the browser and Amazon.com or Expedia in this particular use case are built for our agentic AI.
To interact with virtual personal assistants.
So here's where the level of concern
Okay.
comes in. Software is being built, things that, what's the best pizza shop in the area? Yelp or whatever. Those things are being developed not for you and me anymore. They're being developed for our personal assistant AI,
Okay. I'm with you.
right? So if the personal assistant AI product is built by one of the 3 or 4 big companies in the world, and they are interacting with one of the top 7 companies in the world, where, and they're in charge of our banking because now we don't have to do banking. We just tell the AI, just keep us, I'm making this up. The rule will be keep us at 0 at a minimum. Don't go in beyond what we can spend. Who's to say, let's talk about this ethically. Me and you are no longer in the equation. Is Jeff Bezos influencing the agentic AI tool to make sure that the flight we get or the shoes we get are what he wants us to have, not what we want to have? Because we're no longer in the loop anymore. So sit with that for a minute. The humans are no longer in the loop anymore. The interfaces are not built for me and you. We don't get to choose when we
So
go
what you're
out.
really talking about is removing people from the consumer cycle.
Correct. Correct. Now,
We've already seen that people are willing to trade convenience for privacy and security. If it's convenient, they don't mind sacrificing their privacy or to
right.
some degree they'll pay with their data.
And this will be super uber convenient. You won't have to do anything.
Well, you won't have to do any
research.
I don't want to say menial tasks, but everybody thought like I don't want to be difficult, but people thought the internet was going to eliminate the need to do research. Then people thought AI was going to eliminate the need to do research. Neither one of those two things has happened. It's just made it easier to do research. So I get what you're saying. I think I
Here's the con-
understand about I understand the concept of removing a
here's my big
person from the, yeah.
my concern is not necessarily the quote unquote technology. My concern is we haven't had any guidelines or legislation or regulation of social media or AI in the United States yet.
Well, that is very concerning.
Okay, so that's a concern. We're all talking about that over the last 12 months. Now we go to the next generation of AI, and we're adding
Well,
two pieces. So two pieces concern me. There's no legislation or regulation, and the oligarchs are running the world.
it's sort of like, to draw a sports parallel, what's going on in college sports right in that they've blown open college sports, college athletes now get paid. And because there was no sort of, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For that, there was no equal and opposite reaction in that there were no guidelines set up, there were no guardrails set up. So now it has turned into like a complete free-for-all on
Well,
the
right.
college athletic
College
market.
sports is completely out of control right now.
It's completely out of control.
Right.
And one assumes that the pendulum will swing and there will be, regulation and
So, some rules.
some rules to the.
Right.
So is that kind of what you're saying is going to happen?
Well, my concerns, especially in the United States, like the EU has already passed GDPR, which is data privacy regulations. They just passed the second generation of AI regulations and laws in the EU, as well as some other countries. We still have close to zero regulation and legislation of data privacy, social media, and AI in the United States. I find we talked about this on the show before. Every other industry, whether it's watching TV, movies, smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, driving a car, you name it, flying on a plane, has regulations. But the most powerful tools in the world that we use right now, which is all this digital stuff, have none.
And it's funny, on another podcast I listened to, Will Arnett was talking about something closer related to this, and he was like, my kid has the same phone as Mark Zuckerberg, essentially. Like everybody has the same tools when it comes to the internet. It's very
Yeah,
flat.
yeah.
So it's not like the world of sports cars where not everybody has the latest and greatest. Not everybody has the most powerful engine. Not everybody has it, with your phone, everybody has the most powerful engine. Everybody has the most access to the most powerful search engines. Everybody has the access to everything. But I think with the kind of what you're talking about from a regulatory view is going to be a very hard sell. I think people
Why is it
have,
a hard sell here, but not anywhere else?
I think it's cultural. I think it's cultural. I think that we have ideas about, and it's kind of ironic because we have ideas about personal freedom and about the reason that we're willing to let these billionaires do anything that they want, is because secretly we all believe we're going to be a billionaire one day.
That's a problem.
I,
But you're right. We've talked about that as part of another discussion around young men's health, the problem we have in our country with young men right now. They all think, I use the word they all, that's probably inappropriate because they
mhm.
don't. But many, I use many think, oh, I want to idolize Bezos and Elon Musk because someday I'll be them.
I don't think it's just young men. I think
I
there
know,
is
but I'm
a
using it as
cultural
an
thing in
example.
America.
Right.
I know, but I don't think we need to narrow it down.
Okay.
I think there is a cultural feeling in America that we do not want to legislate or regulate billionaires because who knows, we could be a billionaire one day.
Now you do realize, not you.
Talk to me. Yes, I realize that we're not going to be a
So let me
billionaire.
play the game here
Hmm.
that I would love for
I
this
think
to
there, I
get.
think it's two-pronged. I think that's
Yeah, yeah,
one
yeah.
part of it, and the other part of it is we're lazy. And the convenience aspect of it is more attractive to us than the argument of, we're all being raped for our data.
Yeah. Laziness is part of it. Um, I really wish there'd be a broader conversation regarding when you have oligarchs like we're the characters we know who are up there on the stage with the president of the United States, and we have one of the biggest oligarchs um, playing a role in government without clearance or legislative approval or having an
I'm
official
gonna
cap.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I need you to define what an oligarch is.
Oligarch, the way I'm using it, is someone who has a shit ton of money and uses that money to influence government to an extent that is beyond a lobbyist. They run the show. They make the decision. So, for example, an
Yeah,
oligarch
it's
would be
someone who
someone
has a lot of money and a lot of political
a lot of
influence.
money and a lot of political power, and they use it.
Okay.
So, in this case, the conversation I'd like to have, and this has to do with agentic AI, is if one of the oligarchs, Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or any of their peers, they're making the rules because they have access to power at the highest levels. They're right on the stage.
No, I
So they're making the
understand.
rules. No, this is important. They're making the rules so that the kid in college right now can't become one of them because they don't want to give up and share power. This is a really important point. If they make tax laws so that Bob and Mary it makes it more difficult for them to do a startup from their garage than it used to 40 years ago, then the odds of someone becoming Jeff Bezos are slimmer and slimmer, is my point.
Right.
Because they've got all the power and they're creating, not only do they make money that you idolize, not you, but that people idolize, but they also have close access to power and are using it to create new tax laws, for example, such that the average Joe it's more infinitely difficult to become one of them. So if they have that power and they own agentic AI, you're being influenced, maybe who you vote for. Maybe you're being influenced on where we go to war or we don't go to war. You're buying products you wouldn't have ordinarily have bought if you did your own research.
Everything you just said, I think, is already happening.
In a sense, it is, but this takes it to the next level.
Right.
That's my point. So great point. Much of that is happening now because the emerging tech is influencing your behaviors, but you actually have your hand on the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have your hand on the keyboard
Right.
at all.
It's all gone back end. It's all taking
Right.
place
And one of the
in the
things about
cloud.
agentic AI is maybe we don't even have websites anymore. Everything's back end.
Right.
Take it to the next level. And the world that you know, where you're on a laptop or you're on your phone and you have browser or UI, maybe that's all
Does it come
gone.
does it come full circle and we have more time to live our life? We're outside more. We're spending more time with our family. People
I
aren't on the
think
phone at dinner anymore. People aren't.
this is speculative, and that's why we're doing it on the show, because we don't know. In a perfect world, the answer to that question is yes. And it's regulated, it's safe, and we feel like the level of manipulation is reasonable, for example. But it gets scary when we combine this is what we've been talking about for a year, and now it's getting a little bit more clear. It gets scary when the technology goes faster and faster and faster, and only a very few people are controlling that. That's where it's scary. The technology itself isn't scary. It's when you combine it with a very few people owning it.
Right.
That's the part I think I would
So
like our
how do you,
hear
when you
about.
say you'd like to have this conversation, I don't think you just mean us have this conversation.
Right.
Like,
I would like to see a sense of urgency around Americans that some form of regulation of this industry is absolutely required
never going to happen.
to keep us safe.
I would love to have some of your kids on. Maybe we can do that next week. Have a couple of your students on because I would love to know they're sort of, more our kids' generation. Not so much Samantha. Samantha's in her 30s, but the boys are teenagers. And I think I would love to get the perspective from a different generation. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think people are willing to sacrifice for convenience. And
Here's an argument I've made this week that may change your mind about the
yeah,
generation. So when we talk like we are on this show right now regarding possibilities, um, theories, even if it's close to happening, most Americans, especially the younger generation, is laissez-faire about it, which I think is one of the points you're making. Here's what changed the conversation. When I framed the question of like DeepSeek, what if, or if I frame the conversation around what Elon Musk is doing at the Treasury right now, what if China or Elon Musk and his gang
yeah,
takes your social security number and you now owe $450,000, that which is false, you don't, but they make it that you do, and now you are in a rat hole. You are in a rat hole. You're
you're saying
screwed.
that Elon Musk is going to do this?
Yeah, what if he does? He has access to everybody's data right now. And what if he screwed your life? Now, how do you feel? When the question is framed, what if it happens to you?
What if, but
It,
that is that I want what's something that's all to me, look at what's already happening. Your vote is being influenced. Where you spend money is being influenced. Um because like the ads that you get fed in your social media feed are based on your browser history, your browser activity and where you search and what you say and what and all of this stuff. They're already scraping all of the data anyway to get you to spend money or vote a certain way or um and nobody cares. It's already happening to you.
well, okay, let's have that conversation. We say nobody cares. I'd like to have this exact same conversation 6 to 12 months from now,
Okay.
after 1 year of the Trump administration and 1 year of what he's doing and how it impacts the average consumer and the average person's job prospects, the average person's stock on the stock market, the average person when they go grocery shopping, the cost of groceries, the purchase of a car price. I would like to have this conversation a year from now when people might be a little bit more aware of the consequences of what's going on. Because I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think you're right. Right now, well, at least a few months ago, most people would agree with you. And I think I would agree with you too. I think we're getting to a place where maybe we don't all agree that that's okay anymore.
I absolutely I agree. And I think I would be interested to know what maybe I'm wrong. Maybe young people do care about this.
I think more than we think. I think
I
especially
would like to know. I just think it would be interesting to talk to people of a different generation and see what their fears are and if they correlate.
well, I'll share to answer that question. We've got a few minutes. I asked that question recently. Here's the answer I got. They These are the 18 to 20-year-old demographic. I asked them the following question. Do you enjoy social media as a consumer? A. B. Do you look forward to working in the digital media field on social media and on digital media? Here's the answers, which is different than 4 or 5 years ago. No, we don't like social media anymore. I'm not on it as much. I find it to be unhealthy and fake. Now, the answer to question B, the whole world lives on digital media. That's the field I enjoy. So, from a corporate or company or entrepreneurial perspective, I know I need to understand it and be on it. But personally, I don't doom scroll like I used to in high school. I'm only on 2 or 3 platforms, not 5 or 6. I try to use it for either connecting with friends, connecting with family, or making money. I'm not on it out there anymore blindly doom scrolling. So there's been a shift. Then I asked the following question. How do you think your children, 10, 15 years from now, how do you think, and we'll have them on the show, they can answer for themselves. I'm just sharing what I picked up on the campus. How would you treat it in your house as a parent if you had to decide right now, which is great
Right.
theoretical? Here's the majority said, no one's on social media till 16. There will be serious rules in my house around technology. I don't
Yeah.
like it. I don't
Never
trust it.
gonna happen.
I'm just telling. What do you mean
No,
never?
I know.
What do you mean never gonna happen?
I mean, never gonna happen. I mean, theoretically, like,
Because here's what they're finding out now. They're not as stupid or naive like we all were 10 years ago. When they read that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't let his children on social media, when they
right,
read that Tim Cook doesn't let his kids have an Apple iPhone till 16,
right.
it's like a signal. It's like the people
But
who
it's
created
hard. Look at my
cigarettes,
sister.
the people who made cigarettes didn't let their kids smoke, even back in the 50s and
I
60s,
know.
because
I
they
know.
know the dangers.
But so I just had this conversation with my sister who has a 5-year-old daughter,
Okay.
and she is, as you know, much stricter than I was with my kids, about her daughter's content intake. They don't have a television. She and her husband watch television, but they watch it on their laptops, like together in bed at night or whatever. They don't have
Streaming.
a television. Yeah, they stream everything.
Yeah.
Um, and their daughter's content input is really, she doesn't have a phone, she doesn't have a tablet. She has some weird Walkman type thing that you can get at
So
Target.
she is.
But she came home the other day and she said, I'm the only kid at school that doesn't have a tablet.
I
And I'm
totally
not
get
saying
that.
my sister didn't run out and buy her one, and that's not where this is going. And I'm not
And
saying
how
you have
old
to
is it?
pay
And
to.
how
She's
old is
5.
this? Right.
She's 5.
And
5.
she's the only one in her
And
class
she's
that
the
didn't have a
only one in
tablet.
her class who doesn't have a tablet.
So that's
And
where you come up.
I could judge, but my kids had a tablet when they were 5. I've got videos of them playing Minecraft on their tablets in their little kid cases when they were 5.
I totally get it. I do not argue that. What I'm saying is that starting right now, I am of the belief that all consumers of all ages are going to see in the next 12 months, because of the government that's in place now and the repercussions that may happen, that will impact their lives, that there may start to be a shift.
Yeah,
Of
I think you
that's
may
what
be right. And it would be interesting to find out. And I think
that's where I want, and that's why I want to. When I say have the conversation,
yeah,
shows like
yeah,
this, there are people I follow on Substack, people I follow on LinkedIn who are really good at this industry. And up until a year or two ago, it was just us nerds. Then in the last year, it's a little bit more of the public. Now we have a new administration that's doing some pretty wild stuff. The average consumer may start to see the impact uh, regarding the dangers of having a digital world unregulated. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's interesting. And I think that as we move forward, we should this is something that would be interesting to talk about with guests of different
Well,
from
that's what we're
different
going to have. Yeah.
demographics. Yeah,
In the
for
coming
sure.
weeks, we're going to have someone who over 60 who works in the workplace and how they see this. We could have a college student on,
Yeah.
uh,
Maybe we'll have
legislators
Samantha on.
again. We're going to have someone like she's officially a millennial. What
Yeah.
if she, all that. So I think there is some momentum out there that says, hey, we love technology. We're not saying that. But hey, people, we need some we're like the only country in the world that has zero regulations of any kind. That's a problem.
Well, to be resolved another day. Um, that was a great show. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Digital Dilemmas. As always, if you have ideas or suggestions for topics or guests, feel free to send them to digitaldilemmas@lenkmeet.media, and we will read everything and take your feedback into account. Thank you so much.
All right, Digital Dilemma fans, that wraps up another episode. Thanks for tuning in and navigating our tech world with us.
Please rate us and leave a review. And if you enjoyed it, tune in next time. We'd also love it if you would send us any questions or suggest guests via email. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Digital Dilemmas is a Link Media original podcast.